What's up, baby? This is Deontay the Bronze Rumble Wilder. Make sure you tap into Black Authentic Truth for your latest news. It's great information, baby. Bomb Squad!
Now, you know what they're going to say now. You see, it's not about race because these officers were all black. That is exactly what they're going to say when it comes to the case of Tyre Nichols, where these 3 officers, I think it was 5 officers, but these 3 in particular were acquitted on all charges, 21 charges, I believe. And now people are going to say, well, look, these were 3 black officers, black community. What are you going to say now? You can't say it's about racism. Where is all of the outrage? Where is all of the anger at? I'm going to get to that. But first, I just want to say I want to send my condolences to Tyre Nichols' family. Now, they had a press conference with his mother, his stepfather, his sister. They all spoke, and they all spoke in such a way that gave him honor. You understand? Now, what people have to understand, and what I think black people and white people really don't get and can't grasp, because none of y'all like history, is that law enforcement started from the paddy rollers. It started from white men, slave catchers, terrorizing black people, black men that might be traveling, or black men on their way from one area to another area. And that was where law enforcement, or the idea of policing, came from. And so the culture of law enforcement has always been the same. And you have always had a dominant race. Case in point, when you look at that video with Ryan Hinton Jr., the majority of those state troopers and law enforcement were white. When you look at the video of Robert Brooks, who was beat to death in prison, and you see all of the correctional officers and nurses and people in that room, they were all white. The majority usually is white at any precinct, any police department, right? And so throughout the years, that culture has permeated in law enforcement. Law enforcement was about protecting white people from black people, protecting rich from the poor. That's what policing is about. That's what it's always been about. The police are not in well-to-do, good neighborhoods. And when I say good, I'm talking about affluent. Police are not in gated communities. They're not patrolling like sharks. They're in poverty-stricken areas. They're in the poor areas of the city. There was a few years ago where you had New York police officers come out and basically whistleblow and say, hey, we were trained and we were told to arrest black and brown men.
They tell you this to your face. Black and Hispanics between 14 to 21. They must get stopped.
Or those few summonses, they're pressured to find something. You might not see nothing. You're supposed to be visible. You might not see anything, but you go hunting, like bounty hunting for an arrest.
That's where they get their money from, y'all. I don't know if anybody knows that, but the culture of policing has always been to brutalize, to antagonize, to accuse, and to be suspicious of black and brown groups. All right? Get that out of the way. Now, as I talk about culture, because of that culture, it doesn't matter if you're red, brown, green, yellow, orange, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. Doesn't matter the race of the person putting on the uniform, because when they put on the uniform, they start to follow the culture that they are now in. It puts them in a spirit of that culture. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of y'all know about the Christmas spirit. People that are in the Christmas spirit, and it's just for a little season, for a little time, they get all holly and jolly. They decorate the homes and they do all of these things and they get in that spirit. They get on board with the spirit. And before I go any further, go check out my videos on Christmas. I think I did about 2 videos on Christmas where I talk about why black people should not be celebrating Christmas. I go into the origins, how it has nothing to do with Christ, nothing to do with nothing you think it ever stood for. All right. But that culture, they buy the ugly sweaters, they decorate the homes and all that, and they put on the culture. The same with anyone who puts on the culture or puts on the uniform of law enforcement. So it doesn't matter who it is. Now, you ask us, you ask me, you ask black people, are we upset that these black men who beat Tyre Nichols to death, are we upset that they got off? Of course we're upset. You damn right we're upset. Yes, we're upset at that. And they should go to jail. They should be locked up. They should have to pay for taking the life of Tyre Nichols. They do. You know what I mean? But the law enforcement protects their own. They protect their own. Nichols' sister, when she got up to speak at the press conference, one of the things that stood out is that she said it was so hurtful, not only to, be in the courtroom and see the families of the officers looking at them like they did something wrong and cheering when they heard the verdict, but also because these were black men that did this to her brother. And we say this all the time in the ISUPK. I say this on Black Authentic Truth. When you have black people tend to look at someone that is in a position of power or a position where they could give them a break. When black people see that, we get a feeling in the inside like, okay, it's a brother. It's a brother. Like he's going to understand my plight. He's going to understand, where I'm coming from. But when it comes to policing, it's almost like black people that put on that uniform, they are even more crueler than white people could be towards black people. It's almost like they want to prove something and prove to their white counterparts that they can be harder on their own people. I've experienced this. I know many of you have experienced this. Now, these brothers are no different. They were cruel in that video, man. It's devastating to watch. It's devastating to watch. But the fact remains is that it doesn't matter that they were black, because it doesn't matter what race the person is. When they put on that uniform, they put on the culture of law enforcement. And the culture of law enforcement has always been to oppress minority groups.